And hello, folks. I'm meteorologist Tom Kvicka, and my goal today is to tell you everything you need to know about the impact that hurricane, well, actually, still tropical storm Francine will have here in central Louisiana specific. So I've got a lot of specifics here for you. It'll take me a little time to cover this, so bear with me. So we're going to take you on a little short visual tour here. Alexandria, you see gloomy skies. Looks like a little rain falling at the present time as we look around into Toledo, being heavy cloud cover in that direction. Don't see any visible rainfall there. And then heading back over toward northeast Beauregard between DeRidder and Dry Creek, we're seeing heavy cloud cover there as well. And from time to time, we see some showery conditions. Leesville, mostly cloudy. And of course, looks like in the distance, visibility reduced a little bit. Could be a rain shower over in that direction. Temperatures holding in the 70s with dew points also. So you feel that mugginess that we have in the air. And yes, that is tropical moisture coming in from the Gulf of Mexico. Satellite imagery indicating that the system is still not too well formed. The center of it is right out in here. According to Brownsville radar, we see some deep convection near the center, but they're not aligned right. And so I still think there's some dry air which is circulating out of Texas into the west side of this thing, which is preventing significant intensification. In fact, intensification today has halted, I think, because of that. But I still think we're going to see a hurricane because we got a lot of features there as far as we have the moisture. We have on the east side of it, we've got certainly warm Gulf temperatures, as well as we have some light shear, deep vertical wind shear, so the storm can ventilate itself and it won't interfere with structural integrity. We're hearing about this trough that's going to be instrumental in turning this to the east, and I think that is going to be a major factor here in central Louisiana, that we will not feel the worst that this has to offer. If you've been keeping up with the track closely, you've noticed since yesterday the track has been shifted eastward 3 times, and the net effect there has been about a 60-mile eastward shift away from central Louisiana. And yeah, I know we shouldn't focus on the center of this, but that center track line can be important because it, in my opinion, as a weather forecaster, it means that there's going to be less impact here in central Louisiana than what we were looking at maybe 2 or 3 days ago, when the storm is going to be making landfall to the west of Lafayette and south of that location. So again, it does make a difference. And here's that trough that we've been talking about. You can see how we've got the flow of the wind coming in this way, and then you can see that it changes direction right in here. And so this represents an area, a little dip in the upper level flow, a disturbance, if you will. That is where the weather air is being accelerated and change is coming in. And usually what happens is, of course, this trough is much larger than the tropical system is, and so it tells it where to go. And what it's going to tell it is that we will see it move off to the east, and that is the reason why that I'm looking at that eastward displacement, and why this has been kind of moving toward the east, and that motion has already started with a northeasterly motion here carrying on for the day. Now, once we get into the later time frame here, we will see that that will be moving to the east, and then, of course, that will set the table for the storm to be moving away from us at that time by Thursday. All right, radar is showing some features here as far as a little bit of a broken band down here. So there's some heavy rainfall in these cores. Remember, this is tropical rain, so this is even worse than what this is indicating. The rainfall rates will be even higher than what's indicated here. So we'll put this into motion over the past hour, and we can see that northwesterly motion. Much of the rain that has fallen most of the day here across portions of Rapides, Grant, Vernon, LaSalle Parish, Avoyelles Parish is pretty much just down to some light rain right now. And I can outline kind of an area which is based on the radar estimates of rainfall. Right in this particular area, we're seeing radar estimates of about 4 to 5 inches of rain already. And so that is what these tropical systems can do, folks. They can put down water in a short amount of time. Let me zoom back out, and I want to show you where the center of this is. We can see it kind of on Brownsville radar as I go back an hour there. You can see that the center is kind of broad in this particular area. And again, the eye wall, the features around the center, not well organized right now. Again, some dry air probably coming in from the west on that. Let's take a look at the basic track of this from the National Hurricane Center. It's a 65 mile per hour tropical storm right now, so it's got about 10 miles an hour to go before hurricane strength. So here's a well-known track we've been looking at, again displaced further to the east since yesterday and the day before, and then winding up across portions of mid-Mississippi Valley as a depression. There'll still be a weather maker up there. So now what I want to do is get a little closer look here in central Louisiana and show you that this will probably make landfall right now from the National Hurricane Center latest forecast, probably about 20-25 miles northwest of Morgan City, and then move toward the northeast, probably right over or very near the city of Baton Rouge there. This 65 mile per hour is the wind speed over in this area at that particular time. So that's doesn't mean it's going to be 65 mile per hour winds here. So, but I do have some numbers for you a little bit later. So that is the track that we're seeing, and as you can see, that is far enough from central Louisiana that we will see lesser impacts than I think we were looking at in a Sunday, Monday time frame when we were doing the forecasting there. So here's an impact potential scale. This is Hurricane Francine. This is going to be it may be as strong as a 90 mile per hour hurricane, which is close to a category 2. That starts at 96. So I could probably move this dial a little bit further. I can give it a 1+ instead of a 1 rating there. But you kind of get the idea that early on we were looking up in this category at and near landfall. So this is kind of an improvement in things with the intensity level just a bit as well. So the bar graphs here indicate some threat levels, limited, significant, and high. And this is for Sabine, Natchitoches, Wynne, Vernon, and Beauregard parishes, some of the things that we would anticipate with a tropical system. Flooding, I think, is going to be quite low there. And I'll have some specific numbers on this in just a bit. So flooding risk in these parishes is going to be quite low with this. In fact, probably non-existent unless something very unexpected happens. Wind is going to be limited as well. I'll have some numbers for that. No tornado risk in those parishes, nothing that we're going to mention. And then damage and power outages, there could be a little bit of each of those in those parishes. But again, it's going to be on the low side of limited rather than the higher side. So in these parishes, I'm not really expecting too much in the way of significant weather. We can have some worse weather in some of these storm outflows. All right, impacts for LaSalle and Grant parishes, we'll go there, where I think the flooding and wind impact is just a little bit higher because I expect a little bit more rain and wind in these parishes. Still, tornado impact is pretty much close to nil. Damage and power outages. So damage, I don't think there's going to be much damage with this in those parishes. Power outages, yeah, there'll probably be some, but again, likewise, it will be limited. Hurricane impacts there for Rapides and Allen parishes, likewise similar to the previous group, with a low end flood and wind factor here. No tornado risk, explicitly mentioned. Damage, very little, and power outages, I think, will be limited as well. And our final group of parishes, these would be some of the more impactful areas. Evangeline and St. Landry, closer to the center of this and within reach. Now, and this is why we tell people don't focus on this area, because hurricanes are something that can reach out and touch you from a long distance away. Look at the rain that fell today, way ahead of a tropical storm. Some folks got 4 to 5 inches in that area outlined between DeVille and Marksville for today. So it can happen, but it will reach out into this area. And I put this flood risk into the lower end of a significant risk there. The wind still, I think, will be limited compared to what we can get with a tropical system. Just a sliver of a tornado risk. Damage, well, a little bit higher than you saw in the previous parishes, but still pretty low in these locations, even though these are going to be some of the worst. I think that this is going to have to offer. And power outages, not in the significant category yet. I think it's going to be maybe limited, but maybe a little upper end of the limited and things like that. Don't have any quantification with that, some numbers for that, but you got kind of get the idea. Avoyelles, Catahoula, and Concordia, pretty similar to these other areas that we just looked at a little bit farther to the south, though. I still think there's a lower end significant flood risk in these particular parishes. The wind, I think, will be a little bit less than it will be in the previous two, Evangeline and St. Landry. Yeah, still a little bit of a tornado risk. Damage, not much. If anything, I think would be minor. And then power outages, yes, there will be some power outages there as well. And again, still on the limited scale. All right, here are some hard numbers for you. Hurricane Francine, additional peak rainfall totals. This is not including what we had for today, folks. Today is kind of a separate thing, even though it is related to Francine going forward. This is a forecast, and so this is additional rainfall that you can expect. You can see an area in Natchitoches, Sabine, and Vernon parishes, even down into Beauregard, somewhere between about a half and maybe up to 2 inches in those parishes. And generally, as you head eastward, we see higher totals. I'm going to go 2 to 4 for Wynn Parish. Grant Parish, I'm also going 2 to 4. Likewise in Rapides, 2 to 4. Although maybe some far eastern, southeast, maybe down around Cheneyville, we could be closer to this 4 to 6. And then we've got a 2 to 4 there for Allen Parish. Likewise, 2 to 4 inches for LaSalle Parish. And then heading over toward the east into Catahoula, Concordia, some of the higher totals now, 4 to 6 inches. That will be likewise in Avoyelles Parish and also into St. Landry, and probably part of Evangeline. We'll see that 4 to 6 inches there. And again, that is additional rainfall on top of what you had for today. All right, let's go to some other numbers. This is the peak gusts that I'm expecting from this storm system. And you can see no problem really. And these areas are in Sabine, Natchitoches, and Wynn Parish. About 30 miles per hour is all I'm seeing there. Perhaps far southeastern areas of the Natchitoches Parish maybe could be 35 or so. I've got the 30 for Vernon Parish going into Beauregard. We got 40 miles per hour for Allen, and most of Rapides, some of the far eastern, southeastern part there could get into that 45 range. Likewise into Grant, we've got 40 from LaSalle, Catahoula, Concordia Parish. But then you go southward into Avoyelles, it increases to 45. Could be a 50 in some locations, and then back to 50 there for the St. Landry Parish that I'm expecting. And it could be double nickels in some locations a little bit farther to the south there in that area. Hurricane Francine, tornado threat, pretty much nil across the area. I did put in a less than 2% risk for Catahoula, Concordia, Avoyelles, and probably Evangeline and St. Landry parishes, certainly down in that area. Again, otherwise, it's too close to zero to mention, and that's good news. The higher tornado risk could be well to the south. All right, so what I've got here for you is the kind of what to expect in a more general sense, kind of summing all this up, that I do expect to see some tree damage. Certainly we will see some tree damage in these areas where the wind gusts are the highest. That is logical. There will be some tree damage. Some of that will be trees, maybe on cars, or maybe, pray tell, a few trees may fall on homes in some of these areas where the wind will be stronger. Likewise, some power lines may be down in those particular areas. There will be scattered power interruptions. The power interruptions and outages will be proportional to the wind speeds that are anticipated and the gustiness there. So the power outages, that's where you blink off and on. So certainly that will be in hit and miss areas. And there will be some other areas where the power actually goes out. There'll be some instances of river and flash flooding in those areas where we saw the highest totals there for the rainfall. And that, again, is kind of a capsule of what we're seeing. Now, back into the 7-day forecast. Francine influence until Thursday morning. We'll see a nice day Friday and Saturday, getting toasty in the afternoons with high 91 on Saturday and 90 on Sunday. A little bit of kind of unsettled weather for Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday, 30%. There could be a little front drift in out of the northeast in the Sunday, Monday time frame, kind of touching that off there. So That is your 7-day forecast, so things are going to improve. And certainly, as you know, compared to Laura or Gustav or some other hurricanes that we've had in Cenla, I think we get by relatively easily with this one because of that eastward displacement and that upper level trough, which is kind of forcing it away from us. But it will be somewhat impactful in some of those areas well to the south and east of us. So that's the summary. That is, of course, the Francine, not a visit to Cenla, but an approach to Cenla. All right, thanks for being with me, bearing with me. Have a great day today, and we hope tomorrow is as good a day as it can be with a hurricane and remnants of hurricane not too far away. Take care. God bless.